Hi folks, welcome back to another video with Route to Adventure. I am Brandon, and today I can excitedly report that we are approaching the final stages of what I'm calling stage 1 of our Bronco build. And I'm getting ready to start putting stuff back in here. We do have one more accessory we're going to put back on this tailgate, but I thought today, since we have a short period of time, we had to throw out a video kind of about what we like to take with us on an off-road adventure, especially where the Easter Jeep Safari is coming up. So many of you may be going to Moab for your first time, and maybe this could be helpful for you guys. So I thought I'd talk about what we carry, with this on a typical trip. So we'll get into that. But we are just about done with this build, and I do want to show it to you, but you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer because I'm not quite ready to do that. We've still got the final step, and that is the wheels and tires. And showing it off right now without that would be kind of just incomplete. So you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer for that. If you've been following us on social media, you've seen that we've been doing some work on this right here in my garage. I like to do all my own work. I like to be able to get to know a vehicle, especially when it's new like this. So I'm doing it all. It's taking me some time, plus doing the day job. So we'll get there, and I will show you the reveal of this vehicle here very soon. But anyway, let's get into what we like to carry with us on an off-road trip. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so one of the most important things you're going to need out there is food, and definitely water. So you're going to need a cooler, or in our case, we carry a fridge. We carried coolers for years, so I am by no means telling you need to go out and buy a fridge, although they are very nice and I highly recommend them if you have room. Some people don't, and some vehicles just won't allow it. You're not going to get one of these in a TJ and your friends. You're just not. But if you have the room for it, I highly recommend it. This is a game changer. But beyond that, a very least, you need to take at least a cooler. So you're going to need your water, your lunch, and your snacks, So you absolutely need to have some sort of cooler to keep that stuff in. So make sure you have one of those with you, and get plenty of ice, and put your favorite non-alcoholic beverages in there, because we don't drink and drive, folks. Yeah, just make sure you've got that with you, because you're going to need it. It's going to be a long day out there on the trail. Okay, so whether you're out on your own or you're with, like I say, Jeep Safari or Jeep Jamboree group, guided tour, whatever you're doing, sometimes you want a place to sit. And a lot of times I find myself in the past sitting in the actual cab just relaxing, because it's honestly the most comfortable seat you're going to have out there. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be out there for 8 to 10 hours a day. So in those cases where you don't, and we do this in the RZR as well, we like to carry chairs. These chairs are nice, lightweight, and small enough to fit under the seats. So I can stack 4 of these in here in strategic locations. I actually had more room in the Jeep back seat for these chairs than I do in the Bronco. There's a definite difference in storage underneath the seats in here, but anyway, we can still get 4 of these in here for the 4 of us, and these are quick and easy to set up and quite handy and fairly comfortable for what they are. But I mean, if you don't have this, take a blanket where you can roll it out on the rocks and in the dirt, so you're not getting completely filthy. But we do like these chairs, and yeah, I highly recommend taking some chairs with you. But don't be afraid to, stay in the vehicle. But who wants to do that? You want to get out and socialize, hang out with your friends. So take some chairs. Okay, so now I have a table full of maybe random odd objects to you, but they're all kind of related as far as hygiene and safety, things like that. Obviously, our number one need is a first aid kit. Now, we have come into situations where we've needed our first aid kits before. We ended up actually watching a vehicle roll over one day, and thanks to somebody with a good first aid kit in our group, we were able to tend to some few minor bumps and bruises. But you want to make sure you have that. So, something to clean wounds with, seal or stop bleeding, things like that. It doesn't need to be all that fancy. Just a basic first aid kit will work. I tend to like to carry a little bit extra. In fact, this one is an older one. We've actually built vehicle-specific first aid kits for Ohana and Maggie. Each vehicle based on what we would typically do. So each vehicle will have a very similar loadout, which maybe one day in the future I'll show you. They are more in a soft-sided pouch that has MOLLE panel connections on it, which this is going to get MOLLE panels in the future. So you should be able to walk up if you need that first aid kit and just rip it right off and go tend to who needs aid, and then you just come and put it back. But we're not quite there to that yet. We do have the kits 90% built out, but maybe I'll show that in the future. But anyway, first aid kit for sure. I would be in terrible trouble if I didn't talk about toilet paper. Yeah. Typically, you don't need too much of it, but we always carry a roll of toilet paper with us for the obvious reasons, as well as multiple hand sanitizers. And then we keep that in a packet and usually either put this under a seat where it's easily accessible for whoever may need it, or at least in the back. So typically, I like to keep this in the seat so where somebody can just take that and go do what they got to do. Obviously, garbage bags for lunch trash. The obvious trash, just you never know. I mean, you could even use one of these as a makeshift blanket if you have to work on something. They're handy, and you always want to pack in or pack out what you packed in. So make sure you have some minor garbage bags with you. It could be a Walmart sack, whatever. Just something to think about. Make sure you have a disposable source of something, right? And the hat here is to remind me of sunshade. My fair skin does not like being out in the sun, so I always have a hat with me when we get out there, as well as sunblock, which I don't have here. I should, but like I said, we're starting to load everything up, so who knows. But sunblock, sunglasses, hats, anything to keep you out of the sun, because you will be out there for hours at a time, and although you may think you're in and out of the vehicle, if you're in a vehicle like this where you've got the top on, you got the air conditioner going, oh, yes, creature comforts, we love it. But if you're getting in and out, maybe you're spotting your other group, or you're out sightseeing, you're taking photos, every time you get out of there, you're being exposed to the sun, you just don't know it. And then by the end of the day, it's 4 o'clock, and man, my face hurts. Oh, what the heck? Oh, yeah, you're burned. Happens to me all the time because I'm stubborn that way. Even just in a hat, you're going to get a little bit of sun. So make sure you get that sunblock on. So make sure you have just a few of these. There's so many other things you could take. I mean, lotion. You know what you need. Everybody needs to kind of think about what you need and take that with you. But again, you've got so much space, so you need to be careful with what you pack. But I'm just trying to show you some of the things that we like to carry and kind of the more, essential things that we've picked up over the years. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. This is recovery gear. And unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen, whether you like it or not, and you will find yourself in a position where you are working on your vehicle or a friend's vehicle. It will happen to you. It's happened to everyone in my group. It's happened to me. And it happens multiple times. It's just part of the game if you're out rock crawling or doing anything. And you don't have to do, hardcore stuff to break things. Eventually, over time, these parts are going to wear out. And you don't want to be in the middle of nowhere without the ability to fix it, because then it's really a problem. So we will always carry quite a bit of recovery gear. And unfortunately, this takes up the majority of the storage space. I cannot wait to get a drawer system in here so we can kind of par down some of this into a more consolidated area and gain some space, because this bag here, it's kind of out of camera, but it's this big. This carries my recovery straps, jumper cables, C-clamps, larger deep sockets. This carries the majority of everything, but it's got the handles where it zips together and I can grab it and I can go. It's easily accessible. Also, I carry this tool roll, and this will have different tools, sockets, and wrenches. Again, this should be tailored to your vehicle. I have a tool roll like this for the RZR, which is pretty much all metric with some standard wrenches and stuff in it, but really, for the most part, newer vehicles and ATVs and stuff, they've all gone to the metric system. So everything I come across on this while working on suspension has been metrics. So it's just happening. The JL, Curiosity, it was all metrics as well. But if you're working on some of those older Jeeps and vehicles, having the American version is very helpful as well. So typically I will carry both. This tool roll allows me to do that, and as far as different things as well, breaker bar, pry bar. You'll never know how much you need one of these until you don't have one. Screwdriver set, all kinds of things I do have in here. And as well, I double up in the motorhome too. I've got, the motorhome has its own kit. Like I said, the RZR does, Ohana does. These are interchangeable. This kit's easily moved from the Bronco to the Toyota, so I don't have one built out for Maggie yet, but I just grab and go. Depending on which vehicle we're going to take, this stuff is easily swapped out. So that's easy for us to do. We do air down, and if hopefully you understand what that is. If not, maybe I should make another video about that. So if you don't understand the basics of four-wheel drive, comment below and maybe I'll do one for you. But we do air down, so as soon as we get to the end of the trail, I want to be airing up, so I do have this air compressor. Never knew how much I would love this thing until I got it. And when I was a kid, my grandpa, living in Moab, his Jeeps never had more than 15 pounds of tire or air pressure in the tires at any given time. He was ready to go out of the trail because they never got driven. We'd go down and visit, and we'd go out on the trail. So he kept them all pretty low, which we all know nowadays isn't really the best on the sidewalls of the tires. But you can do it. You can do some short runs, and I wouldn't have a problem doing short runs to the gas station or whatever. Because if you're at a base camp and you're close to trail, it's not that big of a deal. But over time, it would be. So I like to air up nowadays, play it safe. As we get older, we get wiser. And again, each vehicle is going to be different. So spare parts, U-joints. In our case, I am concerned about tie rods because the Bronco's been notorious for the tie rod breakage. However, on this one, we just replaced these and beefed them up with the Icon version. So we do have a heavier duty tie rod, so I'm not expecting that to break. However, I do have the factory ones here, and I'm probably not going to carry these in the vehicle with me, okay? I mean, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and this is the only rig you've got, you might want to carry them. Where, let's say, if I'm going to Moab and we take the motorhome, these are going to live in the doghouse of the motorhome because I'm in that motorhome 3/4 of the time when we go out playing. So I would be able to go out and at least get those and replace these if I were to break one of these, which hopefully is not a problem now that we have the beefier versions. But they're not going to do me any good on the garage floor. So if I'm in the motorhome, I'm going to leave them in the motorhome. If we're just going out on like a 3-day camp type trip, I'm maybe going to try and fit them in here and have them with me just in case. Each vehicle's got their own thing that may be a weak point, and if it's possible, not everybody can. And I've seen a lot of people carry some amazing tools and spare parts with them. I've seen full axles and DeWalt impacts and everything. People carrying stuff, which is great. I'm not going to say you necessarily need to carry that stuff, but having access to it, like I say, is great if you do have a motorhome or something like that. So take inventory of what your vehicle's weak points are and perhaps carry some of those. When I had an old YJ, I would always carry 2 different U-joints, one that would fit the front axles, one that would fit the drive lines, because I mean, the U-joints are the weak link, so they're meant to break. So those are the kind of things you want to carry with you. Small things that are going to be obvious. And if you're traveling with a group, which you should be, there's going to be other people that can help you out, get you back to somewhere that you can get maybe some of these spare parts, or if you do have something at the motorhome, you can get your stuff, get back out there, fix it, and get home without having to call a tow truck or something like that, which can be very spendy. So, and recovery gear again, soft shackle. I have never used this yet. We just picked this up around Christmas time. Somebody gave it to me, and I do have hard shackles in our recovery bag too, and the winch, and making sure you don't forget your winch remote control or your plug-in controller. I've seen that before too. Everybody's got their stuff spread out all over the garage, and then they start packing up and they forget their winch cable for the controller, and then you have no winch. Seen it, it's not fun. But these are the kind of things that you need, the basics of recovery, you know, ratchets and stuff, sockets in here, small set, get the most common, whatever you can carry really, but without going overboard. You're not going to carry the whole garage, but like I said, these are the basics. Take inventory of what you might want to carry, and this is just to inspire you. So build your own kit out and have fun out there. All right, now to finish up with some of the things that we like to carry, and this is kind of an oddball category. First of all, I guess this one's not so oddball. Number one is communications. It's fun to go out and have a good time, but it's definitely funner if you can communicate with the people that you're with. So, you know, there's a camaraderie that happens out here. The off-road community is one big family, and you want to spend time with those people. You want to talk to your friends. You want to, it's human nature. You want to communicate. So there's different ways about it. And if you're out on your own, you obviously can do whatever way you choose. You could use a cell phone if it's just two of you, I guess, if you really wanted to, if you have coverage, that is. But when you're out in the backcountry, the old way, and it's arguably a dying, I wouldn't say art, but a dying form, would be the CB radio. A lot of people hate on the CB radio because, you know, there's so many better things now with GMRS or ham radio. But CBs still do have their place. They do work as long as you're installing them correctly and with the antennas and everything. You can get decent range for your group to be used close together. If you're on the Jeep Safari, CB is still the communication of choice down there. So depending on the event that you may be going to, that's going to change your communication style. So again, Easter Jeep Safari guys, you're going to need a CB radio if you want to talk to the trail leader and your friends on the trail. Maybe not your friends, but if you want to hear the group that's on that specific trail. But there's also GMRS type radios in handheld form. This would be a hard mount. The box mounts underneath the dash, and you plug that in and get your power from the car. This one you're mobile and can take it in or out of the car. And this one's going to get a lot more range. You're also going to need a license for this. You don't need one for CB radio, but you do need one for GMRS. But the sound quality is much better on these. If you're doing a Jeep Jamboree event, they have now gone to GMRS. So you need to do the research. If you're going to an event that you want to be able to talk to people, you need to find out if they're using GMRS or CB radio. But those two I am absolutely sure of. So if you're going to Moab, CB, if you're doing Jeep Jamboree events, you're going to be on GMRS. And we are turning more primarily over to GMRS. I'm going to put a hard-mounted GMRS in this and have it full-time, which is easy for us to communicate. So if anybody's got to hike ahead when we're shooting film, or somebody wants to take a hike, we have multiple radios so that we can communicate, and that way there can be up to two of us out of the vehicle once we have our hard mount GMRS in here. My daughter and her Jeep, she has a CB radio in hers that came with it when she purchased it, and I don't think we're completely away from CB yet, so we'll see. And we'll see what I have before our next trip. But we're getting ready to go on a trip, and we will be using the GMRS specifically. Navigation also, you can use your phone, you can do all kinds of things. But I still prefer paper maps. I love to have those. I like to mark up certain sites and stuff that I may be coming across. Personally, I like National Geographic maps. I think they put out some of the best maps out there today. They have a lot of the spots, scenic spots or arches, and same thing. But you get the idea. They're really good maps. I like those. So make sure you have a good map. You can use just like apps like Onyx, or I like Gaia. I use Gaia GPS all the time. But if you don't download the maps and stuff on those, you may find yourself without cell service, and your map will just be a blur because it won't have anything downloaded. So if you don't remember to pre-download that stuff on your phone, you're not going to have access to that. But if you have this with you, you'll always have it. So I like to double up on stuff when I can. I always take a map of the area that I'm going in. So that's just something to note. And of course, we get out there and you're going to find some wildlife out there. And sometimes you want to see them up close and personal, and obviously you don't want to get too close to them. So I don't know why. It's always been a habit for me. My grandparents used to carry binoculars when we went out, and I've just carried on that tradition. I guess I always have a pair under my seat, and I've used them a few times. And obviously, if you've got you're going to want a camera. I don't have a camera shown here. I'm using that one, but make sure you take your camera with you, because you're going out to see some awesome, beautiful sights. So you better make sure you have that camera with you so you can take a few snaps and remember that forever. And last but not least, it's a little bit weird, but sometimes we do some of these improvements on vehicles because it's fun and it's a little bit flashy. And although we're going out in the dirt to play, sometimes you want to be clean on certain days. So I always have a chamois with me, so I can go to the car wash and I can dry off and not have any spots for when we want to look good, because sometimes we do. I'm just saying. So these are just a few of the items that we carry. I thought I'd just share that with you for a real quick video for today. Again, we're getting very close to having this build done. You're getting a little bit more of a sneak peek than I anticipated, but you're not going to see a whole lot until we get the new wheels and tires on. And once that happens, I will do a full walk around and explanation on the build. So anyway, I hope these are helpful for you. If you've got some ideas, or maybe I missed some things, I'm sure I did. I just kind of ran through this really quick, but put them in the comments below, and we'll take a look at them, and maybe we'll talk about them in the future. And yeah, springtime's coming. It's been a beautiful day out here today. I spent way too much time indoors when I should be out there. I mean, a February day near 60 in Utah, that's pretty good. I need to get out there. So it's going to snow in 2 days. So enjoy the sunshine while you can for those of you in Utah. And for the rest of you, have a good adventurous week, and I will see you in the next video.